Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Intersim Esports Network. It is Sunday night, and Sunday night we are back with the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by Ray White Rural Gander. My name's Aidan Schultz, and in the booth with me, as always on a Sunday night for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, is no other than Paul Jackson. Good evening, Paul.
How you going, Aidan? Well, what a day it's been today. This morning we were broadcasting the red kite race for Jake, the memorial race for Darren McKenzie's son, and what a race that was as well. So if you missed out on watching that one, you can watch that back on our Facebook and YouTube pages. But it's been quite a long day, so I'm feeling it now. Not sure how you're feeling, Aidan, but eager to get into this V8 race and 100 laps. We'll see how quickly that one goes for us.
Yeah, most definitely, Paul. It definitely was an emotional filled morning, that's for sure. And we really enjoyed bringing the race for Jake to you here on the Intersim Esports Network. But now we switch across to the V8 Supercar Australasian Supercar eSeries from the virtual Autoclub Speedway in California. As you said, Paul, 100 laps. Excited to bring this one to you. You can see the race notes up in front of you now, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, 100 laps. All the drivers will have a 75% fuel drop. They will have one set of tyres in the bank if needed. They'll get zero fast repairs, so damage is on with this one. They will have one green-white checker if needed. Of course, there's myself and Paul as the broadcasters. Track notes: Autoclub Speedway is a 2-mile or 3.21 kilometre length track in the virtual world. It is 6:25 p.m. and really excited to bring this one to you. Obviously, a big shout out to other sponsors, Witcher Electrics and APE Sports, for being a part of this one, Paul. But as we see the drivers 27 minutes now into practice before they go into qualifying, let's take the time now to just bring up those championship points here as we head into round 10 and give you a look at how the championship standings we go into round 10. So as they're up there, Justin Witcher from Pinnacle Esports with a really solid series so far, really starting to stamp his authority at the top of this championship with 298 points. Troy Davidson there in second on 273 points. Gary Wellman in third place currently on 270. Christopher Finlay 269 in fourth. Then we go on to Cade Donnelly in fifth on 249. Darren McKenzie, who had a great race this morning, taking out the race for Jake in memory of his son. What a win that was, on 223 points. Raymond Yeager there on 221 points in seventh. Greg Spencer in eighth on 217 points. Shannon Wright on 208 points in ninth, and rounding out your top 10 is the Coca-Cola assassin himself, Andy Barber, on 208 points as well, Paul. So there's the top 10. We'll scroll through, find your favourite driver, and we look forward to bringing this one to you, Paul.
Yeah, so a couple of new names I think I've spotted, and a couple of returning drivers as well in the list tonight. So going to be interesting to see how they shake up the field.
Yeah, it will be, and as always, a massive field here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Currently, we have 29 drivers out there running laps in practice. Gary Wellman is at the top of the timesheets at the moment with a 40.07, closely followed by teammate Cade Donnelly with a 40.16 and Troy Davidson with a 40.16 as well. So the sim racing boys up there at the pointy end here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, and that's definitely something we've been used to seeing in this one in the first 9 rounds, Paul.
Yeah, all the Sim Boys guys have been having some strong showings there, but Justin Witcher for Pinnacle Esports has been doing a great job, having a lot of solid results and finding himself on the podium week after week as well.
He has. He's come into this series. He had a little bit of a slow start, but he is now leading the Australasian Supercar eSeries, as we just shown. He's taken 3 wins out of the first 9 rounds, so he's won every second one that he has come into. But he's also had very solid results outside of that, which is why we see him at the top of the standings at the moment. But we still have 3 rounds after this one. We've got another road course. I believe it's Lime Rock Park, I believe, Classic. I'll have to double check that one, but definitely a lot to play out here on the Australasian Supercar eSeries, and Justin's definitely going to have a very solid remainder of the season to clinch the first inaugural Australasian Supercar eSeries, Paul.
Yeah, 12 what are we? We're round 10 actually, into a 14 round. So 4 races to go, including the one tonight. So not a lot of races left for everyone to make up points to get themselves up into those top spots.
Yeah, definitely. We've just had Dave Douglas tune into the chat saying, righto, bets on, who's your pick? We usually have a pick, obviously, he's watched the broadcast. But Dave, we'll leave that with you tonight, mate. So write your comment who you think your pick is, and thanks for tuning in. We're not going to put the commentator's curse on tonight, so thanks for tuning in. Usual people tuning in, but looks like they are heading out for qualifying now, and we will follow around the drivers and see who ends up on the top of this one. So currently out on track is the 18 car there, Jamie Nankervis, who also ran the race for Jake earlier this morning as well. So he's doing double duties today, as we are here at the Indosim Esports Network. Jamie Nankervis making his way around on his outlap. Who do we have there? We currently have Troy Davidson, I believe. Cade Donnelly, sorry, Simboy's racing car out there setting his outlap as well. So we'll just watch those times slowly come through. But as we do that, another quick shout out to Ray White Rural Gander, the major sponsor of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Very, very good effort by Ray White Rural Gander. Also was a very big part in the race for Jake this morning as well. So jump on and follow Ray White Rural Gander through all their socials. Jump on, Google their website. Anyone in the Gander region after real estate, whether it be rental or looking to purchase, be sure to get in contact with Pete Matson from Ray White Rural Gander, and also Witcher Electrics down there in Victoria. Justin Witcher leading this championship, also sponsoring this series in AP Esports. But we're seeing the time start to fall in here, Paul. Troy Davidson's just gone to the top with a 40.41. Andy J. Barber there with a 40.69, just being picked then by Aaron Dillon, who's moved up into P2 with a 40.47. It's moving really quickly at the front, so we'll just let that go. Aaron Dillon's just popped down to 4. We're seeing good times by everybody. Troy Davidson is still at the top there. Cade Donnelly is there with a 40.41 as well. So as we used to here, Paul, on the Australasian Supercar eSeries, it's going to be tight at the top.
Definitely. And Ryan Barber there tuning in. So going for Darren for a double win, back-to-back wins. So we'll see if Darren can pull off the double win tonight.
If he can do that, Paul, he would have had a great weekend. He'd be stoked third at the Charlotte Roval last night, backed it up with a win at the Daytona this morning, and we head to Autoclub Speedway in a different car. So if he can pull off the win, it'll be 3 podiums in 3 different cars over 2 days. It'd be a sensational effort. Also, Dave Douglas tuning into the chat. I'm going to go with Mackenzie. So nice solid bet there, Dave. Stay with us and keep us entertained through the broadcast, as we're sure all these cars will, but we'll just go through where they're currently standing in qualifying. So up the top there is Troy Davidson with a 40.41, not to be outdone by Cade Donnelly, his teammate there with an identical time in second place. Sammy K with good qualifying so far. Sam Katakouzanos up there with a 40.43 in the third position. Nigel Payton, he's been qualifying really well lately and is up there in P4 with a 40.44, and a good qualifying there by Shannon Wright, currently sitting in the 5th position with a 40.46. Paul, we've got a minute and a half left in qualifying. Still a couple of drivers to set their lap time. So we've got a purple sector there by Barry Neal, and he just pops to the top there with a 40.38. As we're on board with Barry Neal from New Zealand. So, Paul, your teammate's doing well early in this one in qualifying.
Definitely. Barry's been MIA for a little bit in the V8, so good to see my teammate back on the track for Aotearoa Racing, and hopefully Barry can get the job done tonight as well. So.
Yeah, hopefully he can. He's always quick in the 22 car, you can see there. So don't be surprised we see Barry at the pointy end of this one. He's definitely put the number down early with a 40.38. It looks like he's going to keep that spot at the top, 4:24 into a 5-minute qualifying. Looks like that is on that semi-K on there. Looks like he's completed his lap, or he's on his second lap at the moment, because he's still got his boot into it. So 40.46 for Sam Katakouzanos. We'll see whether he can improve that time as he comes across the strike here. We'll just keep an eye on that. and it looks like he's going to remain there in P4 with a 40.43 rather, Paul.
And that pretty much wraps up our qualifying. So the time has run out, and we have our grid set. So just a moment, we'll bring that grid up, and we'll go through everyone's starting positions.
Most definitely. So as we have the starting position set here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here from the virtual Autoclub Speedway, it'll be Barry Neal off the pole position with Troy Davidson on the outside of him in P2. Cade Donnelly will take up the inside of the second row in P3. Sam Katakouzanos outside him in P4. Nigel Payton out of P5. Shannon Wright out of P6. Aaron Dillon from the Sim Boys Racing in P7 and Adam Malone in the Monster Energy car in P8. Christopher Finlay, who led this championship earlier in the season, will start out of the P9 starting position with Greg Spencer outside him, rounding out the top 10. Gary Wellman will start out of P11 and Terry Marwood P12. Paul?
Dwayne Preece finding himself in P13 there, starting with Justin Witcher, our championship leader, in P14. Sean Hart, I believe, making his debut race tonight in the V8 series. I believe Sean did do some in the series in previous seasons, though, so not a stranger, but his first race tonight. So Andy Barber in P16, Todd Maxfield P17 with Peter Matson in P18. P19, Brett Campbell and John Quass rounding out the top 20. Ian Quass in 21 with Philip Howe in 22. Sean King in P23 with Darren McKenzie in P24.
And we'll just roll over that page. They keep on coming, ladies and gentlemen. Out of P25 will be Michael Berta. On the outside of that row in 26 will be Jamie Nankervis. Raymond Yeager up there in P27. Doesn't look like he set a time for this one. Looks like he's got his wheel sorted this week, so you won't be blessed with his voice here in the commentary box tonight. But he'll start out of P27. Dave Trevathan there out of P28. And 29th is Michael Shaw. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The pace car rolls out of pit lane, and we're about to go green next time around for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Barry Neal in the 22 will bring us to the green with Troy Davidson on the outside of him. We'll just watch them all roll out onto the circuit. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we always say, if you are tuning into us here on the Intersim Esports Network, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, be sure to jump into the live chat and have a chat with us while we broadcast this to you. We love everybody getting in and getting amongst it with us. Let us know what cars you want to keep an eye on, and we'll be sure to bring that to you. But I'm ready for some hot, thick, fast action here for 100 laps around Autoclub Speedway, Paul. So Raymond's just jumped in the chat, Paul. Sorry, I know you were going to come in there. He said he hasn't got his wheel sorted. He tried something, but it didn't work out. Unfortunate for Raymond. Not sure whether he's actually taking the grid in this one. By the looks of that, looks like he tried to, but we will find out. We can't see him at the back there in his Pinnacle Esports car, so he might be out for this one. Raymond, if you are out and tuning in, feel free to jump up into the broadcast booth and keep us company, mate. You're more than welcome. But we're about to go green here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by Ray White Rural Gander. Barry Neal will lead us to the green as we wait for that green flag to drop. And we're green here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. And Barry Neal with a great start on the inside line there. Troy Davidson on the outside. You'll see him fall down, but we saw it very one lane at Daytona this morning for the race for Jake, and it's definitely not going to be this way tonight. It will be two-lane racing. Sam Katakouzanos just on the outside of there, 3 cars back, working his way around Cade Donnelly, but Barry Neal with a very solid start there. Looks like Troy Davidson's not happy to sit behind him. He wants to take the lead here going into turn 3 and 4 at Autoclub Speedway. We're used to this in the Australasian Supercar eSeries. This is not how they're going to finish. So Troy Davidson takes the lead. Looks like Barry Neal's just wanting to return the favour here and put it up the inside. So we've already had a lead change here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar E-Series, and Barry was not happy with that. He wants to lead from the front. So Barry Neal retakes the lead here in first position. Troy Davidson in second, Cade Donnelly third, Sam Katakouzanos in fourth, who has had a very solid start to this one. It was good to see Sam Katakouzanos, say that quickly twice, have a solid qualifying here tonight, Paul. He's struggled with his qualifying the last couple of rounds, which got him caught up in a couple of incidents, but he's had a solid qualifying for round 10. Very good to see. Shannon Wright making his presence known early, moving up the inside there, I believe, of Aaron Dillon. So it's a Sim Boys 2 and 3. Barry Neal leading the way, Shannon Wright in fourth, Cade Donnelly in fifth, and Sam Katakouzanos has just moved back 2 spots into sixth position early in this one with 3 laps into 100. This is definitely not how it is going to play out. But Margaret Shannon's tuned into the broadcast as always. Andy Barber, Nigel Patton and Justin Witcher are her picks tonight. So she says have a good clean race, so hopefully we do go caution free. No commentator's curse tonight, Paul, but very solid start here, 3 laps into 100 for the Australasian Supercar E-Series. We're going to see this change very, very quickly. What I'm interested to see whether they can make that second line work. Usually they can in the supercars around the ovals. And speaking of Raymond Yeager, he's jumped up into the broadcast booth. Good evening to you, Raymond.
Hey, how are you, mate?
Mate, very well. Thank you for jumping up. Unfortunate there with your wheel, mate. Did you try and get a lap around in practice and qualifying and it just wasn't playing the game for you?
Yeah, basically there's no force feedback and I had my gears shifting up and down on the keyboard, so it just wasn't going to work out for the race.
That's unfortunate, mate, but thank you for jumping up into the broadcast booth and having a chat with us. You did a great job last week, so great to see you back tonight.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun last week, so hopefully tonight the boys can put on a show again.
Well, we see that currently. Very solid start by all the boys, 4 laps into 100, very clean. Troy Davidson leading the way. Aaron Dillon with a solid start. He's up 5 positions on his starting position, moved up into P2. Barry Neal's just settled into the 3rd position at the moment. Shannon Wright with a solid start, 2 up 2 positions. They're playing very gentlemanly early on in this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that to last around here. Should be a pretty hectic race, 2, 3, 4 wide at times, I expect.
Yeah, and you would have done a bit in this car in the lead up to this, maybe with your wheel, but I know sometimes the car can get tight, especially in the NASCAR realm, but these supercars are probably not going to have the same feeling. I think they're going to be able to run 2, possibly 3 wide for extended periods in this one, Raymond. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would definitely expect it to be 2 wide for sure, and probably 3 wide as well. I know these boys love to try and get to the front, so I would expect a fair bit of 3 wide action.
And it's no surprise to see the Sim Boys Racing team leading the way here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar E-Series. Troy Davidson and Aaron Dillon, 1 and 2. Barry Neal sitting back there in 3rd. Cade Donnelly just with a stalking brief in the 4th position at the moment. But we do know these Sim Boys racers do like racing each other. There's not so much team tactics or team orders, so they are all out there to win. But Barry Neal is going to be there at the end of this one if he can keep out of trouble. He's just up high. We see that draft isn't really massive at the moment, but there's a little bit of gap in between people, so we'll see that change as the tyre wear drop-off does evolve. But Sam Katakouzanos just moved back to 8th position as we nearly see a big accident at the background there. But your Pinnacle Esports guys with a nice solid start there. Nigel Payton, though, has gone down 9 positions on his starting position and sitting back there in 14th, Raymond.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why. He had good pace in qualifying, but yeah, it looks like he's dropped a bit early on. Maybe he just doesn't want to be part of this 2-3 wide action at the front here.
Yeah, well, I remember us having a similar conversation for round 9 that Justin Witcher did a similar thing early on in round 9. So it could be a similar tactic, but they'll definitely be working together in this one. So there we have Nigel Payton on screen at the moment, sitting back there in the 14th position. Still very, very gentlemanly-like at the front of this one. We'll have a look at some of the big movers. Todd Maxfield there has just gone up into the 6th position, now 5th position. He's up 12 positions on his starting position, so he's definitely wanting to move to the front early in this one.
Yeah, he's moved up nicely and he's pushing through the middle of the track there. So as he's trying to make that third groove work for him, and so far so good for him. Up to third now, I think.
Yeah, very good start there by Todd Maxfield. Looks like he's pushing very hard, wanting to take the lead of this motor race. But Gary Wellman up 10 positions off his starting position in the lead. Currently, Barry Neal still sitting there on the outside. It looks like we're going 3 wide into 3 and 4 at the Autoclub Speedway for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. I said we'd see 3 wide. I didn't think we'd see it after lap 9, but there we do. It looks like they've just pulled it back into 2 lanes. So they've gone, no, not quite 3 wide yet. We'll leave that for closer to lap 100. But as I say that, there's that middle lane going again, and we're 3 wide.
Yeah, we're nearly 4 wide through the front there at the front. It's a wide enough track to do it. So I expect that they'll stay 3 wide for a lot of the race.
Well, let's hope so. It's definitely going to keep us on our toes, that's for sure. So 4 wide in the background there, down the back straight. 2 teammates fighting over the same bit of real estate, looks like into 3 and 4. So hopefully they can get through there nice and cleanly. Barry Neal's now moved back to the point. As soon as we blink, the lead changes. So Terry Marwood, you can see there as well. I believe that's Shannon Wright in behind Terry Marwood, trying to push his way through the middle of this field up to the front with 3 wide at the front again. Oh, as the sim boy just chops off the front of Todd Maxfield, I believe there. So Aaron Dillon now leads this motor race. Looks like that outside line is working pretty well though, Raymond. It's just sticking there tight and keeping that second groove running. So I don't know where I'd rather be right now, but it's great driving by all the drivers so far, 11 laps into 100.
Yeah, it's been good so far, nice and respectful, which is usually the case in this league, which is good. The boys have run with each other for a long time now, so they know who to give a bit of extra room to and you can race really, really hard. So they're doing that very, very well at the moment.
And it looked like Todd Maxfield got a little bit loose off 3 and 4 there, so that we're 12 laps in and running that low line, if you're not careful, looks like you can get a little bit twitchy on exit by the looks of it too, Raymond. You mentioned that earlier, that someone got loose off the exit of the corner, and we saw that by Todd Maxfield, but Barry Neal continues to lead the way here 12 laps in.
Yeah, you definitely can get a bit loose coming out the corners here, because what you're doing is you're switching down to 5th gear because you'll be in 6th down the straight, and you'll be switching down to 5th, and as you come out, it does tend to get a little bit squirrely, but it's generally pretty easy to control, so I don't think it'll be a major issue for anyone.
And we see Terry Marwood and Shannon Wright. They've moved up to that high line. They saw that moving forward, and they've just tagged on the back of Troy Davidson there. Sammy Kay, Sam Katakouzanos, is making his way back to the front after slipping down into the 8th position. So he's now moved up, battling for the 3rd position with Troy Davidson. But that outside line working pretty well. Terry Marwood there making the move up the inside. He's just dropped down and left Shannon Wright, his teammate, a little bit high and dry there. It doesn't look like they have team orders as well, as Shannon looks like putting that car up the inside. No, he'll just stay on the outside. So Terry Marwood moving forward early in this one as well. 14 into 100, long way to go. Big thank you again also to the major sponsor, Ray White Rural Gander, for allowing the Australasian Supercar eSeries to create this league and us to bring the event to you here on the Intersim Esports Network. But Raymond, nice solid work, 14 laps into 100 by all drivers.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, they're running 3-4 wide at times, but I don't think anyone's touched anyone yet. So, as I said before, it's a wide track. There's plenty of room, and they're giving each other plenty of racing room, but putting on a really good show. One thing is these, I can't remember what they're called, the Ore team with Shannon Wright and Terry Marwood. Always fast, always towards the front. They could use a little bit of extra luck, though. They've had some really unfortunate incidents over the last 3 or 4 weeks, so hopefully they have a bit of a change of luck tonight. Yeah,
I'd agree with that one. They're always at the front, and they seem to be in the wrong place at the wrong time of recent times, but hopefully that changes tonight. I can say the same for Greg Spencer, your teammate for Pinnacle Esports, always there or thereabouts, and he's had a bit of bad luck lately, so he'll be looking for a nice solid incident-free race tonight, as Paul has tuned in to our chat as well, and he said that he is cheering on Greg and looking for a solid incident-free night from Greg. So hopefully we see that. Barry Neal back at the point of this motor race as they're getting very, very racy. That's Todd Maxfield trying to slice around the outside of Terry Marwood, and he takes his car up into P2. We saw Darren McKenzie last week create a really, really big lead early for round 9, and he got caught up really quickly, so it doesn't look like they're wanting to do that. But as we say that, Barry Neal making headway at the front. It looks like we've got 2 distinct packs now, though. Dave Trevathan's dropped off in 22nd position, 3.6 seconds off the lead of this motor race, so he's sitting there back having a very lonely drive at the moment, as you can see there. Philip Howe behind him in 23rd. Darren McKenzie's actually back there as well in the 02 car. So that's
it'd be interesting. It would be interesting to see what happened back there, because guys like Dave Trevathan, Darren McKenzie, Jamie Nankervis are normally guys you see at the front. So it'd be interesting to see if something happened that caused that split.
Yeah, it hasn't created an incident up on our timing, so not sure whether we'll be able to bring that to you, but definitely you hit the nail on the head there, Raymond, that it's not usual for those guys to drop off this early. So we'll see how the race evolves for those guys. There you can see in the background there, ladies and gentlemen, those 3 Pinnacle Esports cars just teaming up together and running around trying to work together. So Pete Matson there in the Ray Wright Rural gained a car making his way forward. He had a solid run this morning in the race for Jake, actually bringing home the 3rd position. So he'll be looking for another solid one tonight, as we see him getting racy behind there, going 3 wide as well. But we're about to go 19 laps this time past. We're nearly 1/5 of the way through already. It's going really quick, Raymond.
Yeah, it actually is. It's great. It's great to see Peter Matson getting some good results earlier today, and running pretty solidly in 15th at the moment. Looks pretty racy, and as I said last week, this car is one of my favourites on the track. It looks really, really nice.
It does. It sticks out, and what Pete Matson does for the iRacing community since he's become involved in these leagues is absolutely second to none. The support he gives you guys at the Australasian Supercar eSeries, and then also the support he did give the Red Kite race for Jake this morning and through that charity was amazing. So Pete Matson, big shout out to you. So we're now about to go 20 laps into 100. Raymond, well, we've got you up in the booth, and thank you once again for jumping up. You didn't have to do that. Give the viewers a little bit of an insight. 75% fuel drop. You'll know roughly around about when these guys are going to be able to, or how far these guys rather are going to be able to make it before they are going to start looking for green flag pit stops, if we get green flag pit stops.
Yeah, so I did have a little bit of a chat with the team today to try and get a bit of a better ballpark figure than last week. So they're saying anywhere between 32 and 40 laps, depending on how hard you're pushing. So somewhere in that window, you'll see them coming to pit lane for sure.
So we're definitely going to see a double stinter on a set of tyres here at some point, as we usually do with that short fuel drop. So it'll be interesting to see who takes those tyres on the first run and who decides to cut that second run short and try and double stint them short and then fill it to the end. But in saying that, cautions are going to play a massive part in this if we do have one. But currently we still go green. Barry Neal leads the way from Todd Maxfield in second position, Troy Davidson in third, Aaron Dillon in fifth, and Sam Katakouznos rounding out the top 5. Everything's sort of settled down at the front at the moment, Raymond, so not a lot of passing action happening. They've just settled into their groove and gone a little bit one lane at the front, which is good to see settling into action. As I say that, Todd Maxfield's not happy to sit in the second position, and he's making the move for the lead of this motor race, 22 laps into 100. Is he going to be able to clear Barry Neal, though? Looks like that outside line is working very well, and Barry is sticking tough on the outside line. He doesn't have anyone to help him at the moment, so we'll see whether Todd Maxfield can clear him. But here that outside line catches up, and Todd Maxfield goes, nope, I'm going to jump straight back up in the draft.
You won't see too many of these boys happy to just follow the leader. I know that for a fact, having raced with them many times. Everyone wants to be at the front, so I know they're sort of running behind each other at the moment, but I can't expect that's going to happen for long. As we see, I think it's Terry Marwood making a move on Sammy Kay now as well. So, yeah, I think, as I said, the top line seems to be where people want to run. But there's a few guys trying down the bottom here. Peter Madson's one of them up to 9th now.
Yeah, well, now's definitely time to check that out and have a go, because you want to see what your car's going to do and how it's going to react on those different lines, especially if we're 99 or 98, 99 laps into the 100, trying to make that move for the win if you're in that position. So good to get that out of the road now, because if it doesn't work, you definitely have time to make your way back to the front. The Sim Boys cars there of Gary Wellman and Cade Donnelly have just dropped back a little bit into this one, so they're sitting 8th and 9th respectively, just on the outside line. Terry Marwood's still there, but Barry Neal still at the front of this motor race. We're about to go 25 laps into 100. Paul, why don't we go on board with the Sim Boys car of Gary Wellman and do a couple of laps around Autoclub Speedway in the V8 Supercar for the Australasian Supercar eSeries? There we go, ladies and gentlemen, a lap around Autoclub Speedway with Gary Wellman from Sim Boys Racing, as a lap car nearly gets in the way of him there. Already a car going a lap down. I believe that is the 815 car of Michael Berta, and Gary Wellman's just touched the wall there as well. So if that's not a commentator's curse, I haven't seen one. So doesn't look like it's hindered him much at the front here, but it's still on for the front and for the lead of this motor race. Todd Maxfield and Barry Neal are going hammer and tong at the front, playing whatever you can do, I can do better. So Todd Maxfield now clears Barry Neal and takes the lead of the motor race, and Barry Neal just says, no, thank you. I'm going straight to the low line and I'm going to continue to lead this one.
Yeah, they're having a good old battle here, those two. Yeah, everyone else seems to be happy sort of following them at the moment, but yeah, they're not happy just sitting behind each other, that's for sure.
No, and it's creating a great spectacle. We'll see whether Todd Maxfield can clear Barry. No, he can't. He's going to just sit in behind that draft, but don't be surprised if we see Todd move that ZB Commodore out and try and make the move into 3 and 4. Doesn't look like he's going to this time around. He's happy just to sit in behind Barry Neal on this occasion. Troy Davidson up there in P3. Troy coming off a win last week. I believe it was Troy Davidson taking out the win for round 9, so he's having a nice solid start to this one as well. Aaron Dillon still there, Troy Davidson's teammate, up in the 4th position. Sean Hart is up there. Sean Hart's not someone that we've seen often in the Australasian Supercar E-Series, if not at all. Has moved up 10 positions into the 5th position at the moment, Raymond.
Yeah, so Sean has, I don't think he's raced with the Australian Supercar E-Series, but he did race as the former iteration of the league, and I think he actually won a race, so he does know how to wheel these things around ovals, so I'm not that surprised to see him up the front here. So he's doing a good job.
And in saying that, how good is his livery? And I think Paul did mention that at the start, Raymond. I just heard that in my ear, so my apologies, viewers. I'm a little bit slow on catching up, but his livery looks sensational. So Sean Hart having a great start. Terry Marwood, as you saw there, getting loose in the background. He's slowly dropping down the field after pushing for the lead of this motor race. He's popped back into the 11th position, so that outside line working very, very well in this one. We're 29 into 100s, going very quickly. It's anyone's. Just go back and have a look at the drivers we spoke about earlier. Brett Campbell is the first of that second group now. They're back to 1.8 seconds off he's 1.8 seconds off the lead, having a lonely race there. He's running the Bundaberg livery tonight, so there's Brett Campbell in the 015 car, who's also doing double duties and backing up for the Australasian Supercar E-Series, as always, here on a Sunday night. Dave Trevathan's 4.3 seconds further behind him. It looks like those cars sort of from the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd position are sort of running around by themselves at the moment, so they'll definitely be hoping for a caution. But with 30 into 100, in the next 8 to 10 laps, we can expect these guys to be making their first pit stop of the night.
Yeah, given the gap back to those guys, 19, 20, 21, and the caliber of driver as well, you just wonder if they're trying to make this a one-stop race. I don't think they'd be able to extend the field that far, but maybe they're trying.
Maybe they are, as we're on board with Michael Shaw. I wouldn't be surprised if they did try it. Sometimes you've got to try things differently to see whether that is going to play out. Looks like Michael Berta had been in the wall big time. I believe that was earlier when we were on board with Cade, I believe.
With Gary Wellman.
Gary Wellman,
yeah,
sorry.
He did get up into the wall not long after Gary went past him, so he looks like his car's not in the greatest shape.
No, the front right-hand quarter panel's definitely going to need a little bit of panel bashing by his virtual pit crew. So he's got a long night ahead of him to be able to salvage something out of this one. But Barry Neal still is at the lead of the motor race. Todd Maxfield in second, Troy Davison in third. And Aaron Dillon in fourth. We'll have a little bit of a look. Sam Katakouzenos is still stalking there in P6. Let's go back and have a look at other drivers which have featured heavily in this Supercar E-Series after 9 rounds. Your teammate there and the leader of the championship at the moment, Justin Witcher. He's only up 1 position now, up 2 positions on his starting position in 12th. So keep an eye out for Justin Witcher. He'll play a part in this one as we move into the midway to back end of this race. So Justin Witcher, the leader of the championship, just having a nice, solid, stable drive. It looks like he's made a little bit of a gap there on his teammates of Nigel Payton and Greg Spencer. So he's wanting to move forward into this one. Raymond, you'd be happy to see Justin moving his way forward.
He'd definitely be looking to get a little bit further forward because, I know he's got a decent championship lead, but, Troy Davidson, Gary Wellman are right behind him and they're sort of running right up the front. So I think Justin definitely wants to get a little bit closer towards him. He doesn't want to lose too many points if he's going to lose any. So, yeah, I'm not sure if he's just struggling with race pace or as he gets really close there to, I think it was Adam Malone. I'm just wondering if he's just struggling to get some race pace going.
Yeah, and Adam Malone throwing a curveball at me tonight as well. He usually runs the Monster Energy livery, and it looks like he's running something different tonight. He's running...
Yeah, I think he's part of the Southern Stars team, and that, as we said last week on their debut, I think their car looks outstanding. So I'd run that every chance I got.
Yeah, it does look outstanding. It definitely pops here on the broadcast. And my apologies, these guys run different liveries in different leagues, so it is hard to keep up. We're going by timing and race numbers at the moment. So Adam Malone, we'll just focus on him for a sec. He's actually down 2 positions on his 8th starting position, but he's still solid there inside the top 10. So he'll be there or thereabouts. Adam Malone is a good steerer and has some good pace in his car and whatever he drives. So don't be surprised to see Adam Malone play a part in this one. But we're coming up to that pit stop window, Raymond. 35 of 100. In the next couple of laps, I'm sure we're going to see a couple of guys blink. But tyre wear, is that front right-hand tyre, is that taking a bashing around here in the supercar? Do you think that the tyre drop-off's going to be an issue?
I think he usually does, yeah. I did speak to Greg Spencer before the race and he was having some issues with it in practice. So there is probably a little bit of that going on with some of these guys that have dropped some spots. They're probably looking after their front right a little bit. But honestly, what are we, lap 36? I expected that we might have seen someone down the lane by now.
Yeah, from what you said, I was sort of expecting that as well. But in saying that, there's a little bit of drafting happening, so you might be able to drag out that extra lap or two.
Yeah, I know Nigel was telling me that you can get to 40, so maybe they're all getting to 40.
Maybe they are, but Barry Neal and Todd Maxfield have been racing hard at the front, so I'd be surprised if they can get to 40, especially those two, because they've been sharing the lead at the moment. They might have to blink. They might have to blink just that lap or two earlier than the guys behind them, but this is all speculation at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. 37 laps into 100. Your man, Justin Witcher, Pinnacle Esports, he wasn't happy back there in 11th. He's moved up into P4, quick smart. So yeah. I think he's just kept his tyres under him early and waited to make the move. So he's now currently making a move on Aaron Dillon to take the 4th spot into 3 and 4. We've got another lap car high at the moment there. Looks like that is, not sure who that is. Is that Philip Howe?
Yeah, it looks like Phil Howe, yep.
Yeah, so he might have got caught in a little bit of an incident that we didn't catch earlier, which created the gap down from that 19th position on. So we're starting to see the pit stops happen now. Shannon Wright, Terry Marwood and Brett Campbell have all been the first to blink and have come into pit lane. So they got 38 laps out of their tank. Looks like they're trying to do that little bit of an undercut and run longer at the end. So not sure why they've used more fuel than these guys, but they're trying something different. So we'll see what happens when they come out of pit lane, but we'll keep an eye on Barry Neal.
Looks like Barry and Todd are going to try and cover this off. I think they're coming down the lane this time.
Yeah, most definitely. I was just about to say that. Looks like we have to keep an eye on them and see when they come in. So Barry Neal, Todd Maxfield. There was someone else following them down pit lane as well. I don't believe they did. So Troy Davidson and, Barry Neal and Todd Maxfield are in pit lane. Dave Trevathan's in pit lane as well. Cade Donnelly has blinked and is in pit lane. So we have green flag pit stops here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by Ray White Rural Gander. We're going to see Justin Witcher and Troy Davidson possibly blink and come into pit lane any lap now. This is a big gaggle of cars, so hopefully they can get through pit lane when they decide to pit with no incident. But no, we're going to go for another one, and we've had the big wreck, and this is not good for Gary Wellman and Andy J. Barber. They're currently in pit lane, and we've gone yellow.
Yeah, it's not good for those guys at all. It's perfect for Justin and Troy, though, as they'll get to pit under yellow now. So
yeah, most definitely. It's also good for Barry Neal and Todd Maxfield.
It looks like Dwayne Priest has just come down on Sean Hart there by the looks of things, and yeah, that's brought out the caution.
Unfortunate there for Sean. He was having a nice solid run, so. Unfortunate. Looks like both cars are pretty undamaged though, so it may not be night over if Dwayne Priest keeps this off the inside wall, which
he does. He's done well.
So looks like no harm, no foul there, and these guys will be able to get back into the motor race. But definitely Gary Wellman and Andy Barber, they were stuck in pit lane when that caution come out, so that's very unfortunate for Andy. Andy's one that's had a lot of bad luck in everything he's run lately, so the bad luck continues so far, but night is not over. But we see the guys come into pit lane under yellow. Justin Witcher leads the train through pit lane. Everyone's following him in, so we'll wait and see them go through their pit stops and see who takes the lead of this motor race, 41 into 100.
Yeah, he has had a fair bit of bad luck, actually, Andy Barber. He's really fast, a good driver. But, yeah, as you said, he's had some bad luck. But, obviously, I mean, he'll get the wave around here, him and Gary, but they'll be at the back of the pack and have to work their way back through.
Well, as we saw in that first 40-lap green stint, it didn't matter if you're at the back. A lot of those drivers are up 15, 16 positions on their starting positions. So it's definitely not night over for the guys that will start this restart from the back. There's a lot to play out, but Gary Wellman looks like he's taken the lead of the race. Andy Barber in second, as we just said, because they were in pit lane. So
maybe they didn't go down a lap. Maybe they stayed on the lead lap there.
I believe they might have just got out. My live timing was saying in pit lane, but sometimes that can be a little bit slow on refreshing. But let's just let all the live timing settle down and see where these guys will be.
Yeah, definitely looks like Gary Wellman's going to be leading the race here. So that's worked out really well for him.
Yeah,
if that's the case.
I believe it is the case, Raymond. They come through pit lane lap 39, obviously the lap before the caution. And yeah, they're going to be leading this to green when we go green once again. Not good for Terry Marwood, who went through pit lane on lap 37. He's dropped back in the pack, and that's going to put him a couple of laps short on the cars in front. But like I said, if there's other cautions, there's definitely a long way to go. So Gary Wellman currently leading the motor race, Andy Barber in second, Justin Witcher still sitting there in third place, Aaron Dillon in fourth, and Troy Davidson in fifth. Michael Shaw has moved up 13 positions into the 16th position currently. Other people this is definitely going to help as well, as the likes of Darren McKenzie who was down quite a bit early in this one. So this has brought him right back into the frame.
Absolutely. And you'll notice on the timesheet there that Barry Neal is now 18th. So he obviously got caught out with that caution as well.
Yeah, he came through pit lane lap 38, so he was a lap before, but his pit time was 34.53 as opposed to Gary Wellman's 31.78 so looking at those times, I believe it looks like most of the people probably would have taken tyres, but he was about 4 seconds down on the fastest pit stop, so that could be the reason why we see Barry Neal drop back to the 18th position so far, Raymond.
Yeah, potentially. Obviously, we didn't watch the pit stop, so we don't know, but that would potentially explain it. Yeah, just interesting because he obviously led much of that first 42 laps, so it's interesting to see him down now in 18th and having to work through the field to get back to the front.
Well, that's what's great for us, to be able to watch him make his way back to the front. But it will be Gary Wellman bringing us to the green for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries for the second time tonight, and we are green. Gary Wellman with a good jump on the inside line there ahead of Justin Witcher. Justin's wanting to follow him right up into 1 and 2 and take second place of this motor race, but we're 3 wide for third between Aaron Dillon, Troy Davidson and Andy Barber currently. So Gary Wellman with a nice jump. Justin Witcher following him very, very closely behind the Southern Stars outfit there of Andy Barber on the outside. God, that is a good-looking car. It's very, very easy to spot. Makes it easier here from the commentary booth. But Justin Witcher, we saw that outside line working well in that long green flag run, and they've picked that high line early. So we'll just keep an eye on this high line and see what they do. But Gary Wellman's got out to a little bit of a jump currently. We'll see whether that keeps pulling out. He's just dropping below that white line a little bit there through I call it a tri-oval. It's not quite a tri-oval, but there's the man Sam Katakouzanos up there in second. He's made his way there. So he's pulling up on Gary Wellman very quickly, and we're going to see another change for this motor race as Sam Katakouzanos takes that outside line, and Justin Witcher's going to want to follow him through.
Yeah, Sammy Kay got a really good run there, obviously, in the draft of Gary Wellman, and makes that pass quite easily. Cummins down to the inside, which is not the preferred line, so that's a little bit different, but he's going to lead this lap for sure.
Let's just keep an eye and watch this play out. Darren McKenzie's making a move forward now, so he's moved his way up into the 7th position. So Darren McKenzie coming off a high this morning. You see him there on the inside, making his way forward. So he's going forward quickly. We saw in round 9, he led from the front and he got a quite substantial gap early. So the raw pace of Darren McKenzie is definitely being shown again here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries, and he's moving his way forward, and expect him to take the lead of this motor race very, very shortly. And as we say that, he just makes Sam Katakouzanos look like he is standing still, and Darren McKenzie will lead lap 45 of 100 here on the Australasian Supercar eSeries.
Yeah, Nigel Patton and Greg Spencer have followed him through as well, so all three have cleared Sammy Kay there, and that was a really good run by them. Darren obviously will be looking to make it back-to-back wins today after taking out the race for Jake earlier on today.
And while we talk about the race for Jake quickly, while this settles down, or while you mention it rather, Raymond, did you tune in and have a look at that one this morning?
I was doing a few things, but I did check in a few times and watched it. It was good. It really obviously great to see Darren win it. Obviously an emotional period for him and his family, so great for him to get the win and really, really deserved it.
Yeah, it was an emotional time for everyone involved, and also the giveaways, and congratulations to all the winners. But let's turn our focus straight back to what's at hand, and it is round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Darren McKenzie is at the front of the motor race. Look who's there in P2, Raymond. Nigel Payton is stalking Breath in P2 up in front of Greg Spencer. So they've moved their way forward ahead of Justin Witcher. Justin has just dropped his way back again, so he might be having that same tactic that he did have in that first green flag run, just sitting back there, saving the car, and then will make his run late. But the other two Pinnacle Esports cars of Nigel Payton and Greg Spencer are moving their way forward in this one.
Yeah, so with those, obviously, with those pit stops under the caution there, potentially these guys at the front have taken their tyres and some of these other guys haven't maybe. So that may be why they got that really great run on the inside, which hasn't been the preferred line tonight. So that may explain it, potentially.
It may, and I look at the pit stop times, it looks like that fuel might cover off tyres, because if some of those guys have taken tyres, their time through pit lane are very similar to the rest of the field. So unless it's just a couple of second difference, not sure, but I think you might have hit the nail on the head there. There are different tyre strategies happening here. But yeah, not sure how that's going to play out. That'll evolve in front of us as we go lap 50 into 100 next time past the strike. Darren McKenzie still leading the way.
Yeah, I do know that fuel does cover off tyres here, so it's hard to tell by the timing in pit lane as to whether they took tyres or not, because the fuel is longer. It takes an age with the fuel in these things.
Well, that answers the question. So fuel definitely covers off tyres, so we're not going to be able to look at the strategy as opposed to their pit transit time. So that makes it even harder for us, but it also makes it better for a spectacle point of view. But Darren McKenzie still leads the way. Let's go back and have a look. Michael Shaw is up 12 positions in the 17th position. Jamie Nankervis is making his way up there slowly as well. He's moved up to 16th. He's up 10 positions on his starting position. Christopher Finlay, who led this championship for the first 4 or 5 rounds, is back there in 13th position at the moment as well. So expect Christopher Finlay to make his way forward into this one. He's always up there. So Pete Matson there, I just saw on the inside, he's moved back to 14th. You can see him there in the Ray White Rural Gainter car right behind Christopher Finlay. So Pete Matson having a solid drive. Sam Katakusanos, who was up the front at the start of this restart, has just moved back to P10. So if they have not taken tyres, which I believe Sam Kay and the likes, Troy Davidson, etc., may not have as well, we can expect probably in the next 15 laps for these guys to come in and take that fuel stop to be able to run to the end.
Yeah, you would expect that. Anyone that hasn't, nearly contact between the two Pinnacle Esport cars there. But yeah, you would expect within, lap 65 probably to sort of make that pit stop and get on the fresh rubber if they haven't already. But in other news, it's good to see that Sean Hart and Dwayne Priest, who had that contact before, are still out there and running 4th and 5th at the moment. So the damage obviously hasn't done anything.
Yeah, it hasn't, but we'll keep an eye on this battle. They got together before, so hopefully they've learnt from that one and we don't see a repeat of that. But we see Sean Hart there in the Code 9 Esports, I believe that is, livery. If my eyes are serving me correctly. And,
yeah, it certainly is.
And Dwayne Priest in the Petters car there. So, yeah, they were involved in an incident earlier, but they seem like they have a magnet on each other tonight. So they're back together in the 4th and 5th position, respectively. Darren McKenzie still leading the way, but Nigel Payton just staying with that inside line at the moment, just seeing how that goes. He's on fresh tyres by the looks of that to be able to hold that inside line. But the Simboys car there of Aaron Dillon is moving his way to the front of this one. So we're 53 into 100. We've gone over half race distance here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. But as we've seen in a lot of the oval races with Darren McKenzie, he's hard to get when he's leading these races. He seems to find that pace even when he is out there by himself. In saying that, Aaron Dillon just pokes down the inside, but Darren McKenzie very quick in these supercars on an oval.
Oh yeah, Darren's really fast in anything that he jumps in. As we've said a couple of times over the course of the season, sometimes his time management isn't great and he can burn them up, and that sometimes costs him his finishing position. But there's no doubting his pace.
Yeah,
massive from Justin Witcher.
It's Pinnacle Esports cars everywhere. Justin Witcher, he was sitting back there, and then we were talking about Darren. Next minute, he's up there into P3, so he's making a hard press for the front of this race, trying to catch up on the back of his teammate Nigel Payton at the moment.
I think he's passed 3 or 4 cars there with that dive to the inside, so he's not messing around. He wants to get back to the front.
Tell you what though, Sean Hart in that Code 9 Esports is not going to make it easy for him, as we see Sean try and make the move and put that car down the inside of Nigel Payton. But you can see there when Justin Witcher was behind Nigel and just sitting in that draft, how hard it made it for Sean Hart to be able to get that pass done. He's on the inside line now, but we'll just watch Justin Witcher pull up on the back of Nigel, and you watch Sean, it looks like he's standing still, and Nigel just jumps down on that inside line to cover it off, and now he moves back up to help Justin. So there is an example of how much the draft is around the Autoclub Speedway.
Yeah, it's significant in these V8s on any of these ovals, really, but especially at a big track like Autoclub. As you see, both the Pinnacle Esports teams looking to pass Darren McKenzie here for the lead.
And we're 3 wide for the lead with Todd Maxfield up in front of them, about to be lapped. So hopefully Todd doesn't play a part of the lead of this motor race. Darren McKenzie getting hooked up on the outside line.
Yeah, he got a really nice run on that top line there to hold that pass off. Saw Sean Hart riding down the bottom and Nigel Payton in the middle trying to get it done. But yeah, really nice run from Darren to hold it off.
We'll probably see Darren try and use as much of the draft of Todd here. No, we don't. He's straight down the bottom and wanting to make the move to get past the lap car there of Todd Maxfield. So here he goes down the inside, that Pinnacle Esports car. Not sure, is that Justin Witcher? Yeah, that is. Sending down the inside, and we are 3 wide with a lapped car on the outside as well. So these Pinnacle Esports guys are running hard at the front, trying to chase down Darren McKenzie. Aaron Dillon still sitting there. Sean Hart just trying to make that inside line. He can't get up there, so he's sort of stuck at the moment to just run that inside line and sitting down there. So as we see Justin Witcher go, no, I'm going outside line. So I'm sure that Nigel Payton and Justin will be talking to each other, and Nigel will be wanting to get Justin to the front of this race and maybe sacrifice a little bit of his. I'm not sure whether there are any team orders, but I'm sure he'll be doing everything in his power to push Justin Witcher to the front of this motor race as we see him go up the inside there of Darren McKenzie.
Yeah, definitely no team orders for the Pinnacle Esport boys. But yeah, I'm sure Nigel have in his mind the knowledge that Justin is the championship leader, and he won't want to do anything that causes any harm to Justin's chances of winning the championship.
Well, from Justin's point of view, I don't think he has to worry about Nigel, but there's 28 other cars on track, which I definitely know he has to worry about. So Darren McKenzie being one of them, not in a taking out point of view, just to beat him to the lead of this motor race. So Darren McKenzie still sitting there in P2. He might just sit there with a bit of a watching breath for a little bit. No, he don't. Every time I say that, bang, they're at the lead of the motor race.
Nah, Darren's not a guy that's going to sit there and watch, I don't think. Darren wants to be at the front, and fair enough too, because when you're as quick as he is, I'd want to be at the front as well.
Well, after the weekend that Darren's had so far, I've got the seat up here for Justin Witcher in the broadcast booth with his name on the back of it currently, because he's been up here so much. We might have to put one up here for Darren McKenzie, because he's been at the front of all our broadcasts that we've done lately. As we're going 3 wide there for 3rd, 4th and 5th down the back straight. It's definitely hot at the front here. 60 laps in already out of 100. We're well over halfway into this one. In the next 5 laps or so, Raymond, we were suggesting that these guys that didn't pit, that are currently sitting off the back of this pack, are possibly going to come in. Didn't take tyres rather, are possibly going to come in. As we see 2 cars in the background there nearly get into each other. That nearly was a big one, and if that would have happened, the Pinnacle Esports car there of Greg Spencer would have been the unlucky victim on the inside. Barry Neal's being very quiet on this restart too, though, Raymond. He's just sitting back there in the 12th position, just cruising along. So he hasn't been interested in getting back to the front of this one through this green flag run.
No, Barry's a wily competitor, mate. He doesn't put himself in any danger, so he's just sitting there watching everything unfold. But I can almost guarantee that when the business end comes, he'll be right at the front. Most definitely.
But we'll just head back to the front. Justin Witcher still leads the way. We go to the front because we can see those 3-4 wide battles from looking at the front between the likes of Sean Hart, Nigel Payton. Sean Hart just clears Nigel Payton on the outside there. As Nigel nearly gets back into his back left-hand quarter panel, but Nigel's got a great run. Look at the run Nigel's got. He did that unassisted down the back straight. That side draft was massive as Nigel moves up the inside of Justin Witcher and moves up into the second place. Looks like Aaron Dillon's going to do the switchback there and say whatever you can do. I feel like do better as they make contact, and we're going to have caution again, possibly here on lap 63 of 100. It's not out as we speak, so we are still green. That is bad luck for Nigel Payton. Sorry about that, Raymond. That is a commentator's curse right there.
No, yeah, it looks like Nige is just, I don't know. I don't know if he got a call from the spotter or what, but it looks like he's just come straight down on him.
Yeah, it did. We'll just go back and have a look at that. Here's Aaron Dillon on the inside. Yeah, just squeezed him. Looks like it started off with a little bit of net code there. And then it just went further, and Nigel's just gone around on the inside of the racetrack. Aaron Dillon's kept his car nice and clean, but that's dropped him right back in this one. Oh, he's actually back into 10th at the moment, and he still seems to be in the group, so not as bad as Nigel, and Nigel's copped a little bit of damage there as he cleans up the inside wall.
Yeah, it's not good to see. He's had a good race and just a slight lack of concentration there, I guess. And your night's over.
Yeah, looks like his night is definitely over as we see him in pit lane, but Justin Witcher still leading this motor race. It looks like Justin's just blinking and going into the pits, as Darren McKenzie has done as well. He's in pit lane. Darren McKenzie's actually on his way out. Jamie Nankervis is on his way out as well. So they went lap earlier. So Justin's trying to cover that one off. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Raymond, you hit that 65 lap mark on the head, and they've come in and they've taken their fresh set of tyres to run the final 35 laps of this one. We'll keep an eye on Sean Hart. I believe he's on a similar strategy. We'll see what he does, but it's a big battle pack up here for the lead. We'll see where they come in. Barry Neal's made his way into pit lane, as well as Greg Spencer and Justin Witcher, as I said. So we'll see where this plays out and when these guys at the lead of the motor race are going to cover off that and try and come into the pits. So they're not going to do it this lap around. They're going another lap. So we'll go lap 66. But Sean Hart leads the way. Gary Wellman still in second. Dwayne Priest in third. We'll just let these pit stops happen, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll get right onto the sponsors for you. But Sean Hart doing a great job. That mid to outside line seems like the place to be, Raymond, from my point of view.
Definitely is. That's where most people have wanted to run when they've been at the front tonight. So I think there's definitely a clear favoured group. But I mean, it's not to say you can't get a pass done on the inside. It looks like you can definitely do that. You just need to make sure you get a good run and time it well. But these guys that are still out here, I'd suspect maybe that they took their tyres on that first pit stop, so they're just trying to push it out as far as they can with their fuel to try and be stationary for as little time as possible. Maybe, I don't know.
I'd probably agree with that. They're going to go as long as they can because they want to be able to run on those tyres that they won't be able to change as short as humanly possible with a full tank of fuel at the end, or not a full tank of fuel, but a heavier car, so to speak. So they're going to want to go very deep into this fuel tank as far as they can. We'll just go back. Michael Shaw's there in 10th position. I just keep going back to him. He was the mastermind behind the race for Jake this morning, so we just keep an eye on him. Darren McKenzie, you see there, just blowing past him on new tyres. So we'll see how it plays out. Michael Berter has jumped into the chat too, Raymond. He's just come across and said he is done for the night. So, Michael, sad to see you done for the night, mate. We didn't quite catch what happened to you. We saw that you had a little bit of damage on your car, so feel free to comment on the chat and let us know what happened with your night. But mates, as we say in motorsport, there's always next week, so look forward to seeing you here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries for round 11 next week, mate. Unfortunate night, but there's always next week. But Sean Hart and Gary Wellman still leading the way of this one. Raymond, Dwayne Priest is in the third position. So Dwayne, who was caught up with that incident earlier with Sean Hart, they've both made their way to the front of this race.
Yeah, they've been close to each other all night, and it looks like that's not going to change.
Yeah, it looks like Sean's got a little bit of a jump on Dwayne at the moment, and him and Gary Wellman are working well together. They've got a little bit of a gap over that second pack at the moment, but that's not going to last for long, whereas we see Gary Wellman make the move for the lead of the motor race. I just can't wait for these guys to hit and see where that puts them in relation to the likes of Justin Witcher, Darren McKenzie. And Barry Neal is sitting in there behind Darren McKenzie as well. So he's in the box seat to be able to come up to the front of this motor race. But we'll see how that happens. We're 70 laps into 100, a lot to play out yet.
Yeah, it's always a exciting time as a commentator when there's 2 or 3 different strategies playing out at the same time. You're never really sure where things are going to end up. So that's sort of where we're at the moment, trying to just wait and see, I guess, and see how these 2 different strategies will end up.
Yeah, Darren McKenzie was the first to blink. He came down on lap 63 as opposed to Barry Neal. Looks like Gary Wellman and Aaron Dillon are making their way into pit lane now. Cade Donnelly doing the same. So looks like the Sim Boys cars are staying on the same strategy. Michael Shaw's into pit lane as well. He last came down on lap 40, so this is his little double stint on his tyres. So this is where we're going to get our first indication of where this is going to put the likes of Justin Witcher and Darren McKenzie and Barry Neal in relation to the rest of the field. So keep tuned for this one when they come out on track, because this is going to be our first insight to see how these strategies are playing out, Raymond.
Yeah, it unfortunately looks Sean Hart is in the pit lane as well. But yeah, no, it looks like maybe Greg Spencer's had an issue during his pit stop, because he's actually dropped down to 2 laps down instead of just the 1 lap that these other guys were on. So it looks like he's made a mistake in the pit lane.
I'm looking for him. Yeah, I'm looking at live timing, Raymond, and he is a minute through pit lane, so I could almost guarantee you he's got a 40-second hold for speed. So
yeah.
A minute down pit lane, that's not good for Greg in this one. So.
No, he was having a good solid run, and that's disappointing to make a mistake that ends your chances, really.
It does, but no, Greg, he'll stay out to the end of this one and try and recoup as many points as we can, as we see Troy Davison and Dwayne Priest come into pit lane. Sean Hart and Christopher Finlay are on their way out of pit lane. Andy Barber is now leading the motor race. He last come down pit lane on lap 39, Adam Malone on lap 40 and Sam Katakouzenos on lap 40 as well. So the teammates there of Adam Malone and Andy Barber, expect them to blink any lap now and come into pit lane. So we'll just see whether they do that. They go through 3 and 4. Sam Katakouzenos is probably going to cover them and come down as well. So we'll just have a look. But that Southern Star car is on the outside. He wasn't able to get into pit lane even if he wanted to. So they're just staying out a little bit longer. I'm not sure. That's Justin Witcher in the Pinnacle Esports car there working with them. So it looks like Justin's had a really, really good pit stop and really good couple of laps, because my live timing and what Paul's saying in my ear, Raymond, is that when this all plays out, Justin Witcher is going to have a 4.5 second gap over Darren McKenzie in the lead of this motor race.
Yeah, it does look that way, and that's a significant gap that he's managed to put on Darren in those pit stops. So very well done by Justin.
Yeah, well done by Justin. I'll just go look at the chat too, Raymond. We always do this, as you know, through our broadcast, because we like to interact with our viewers. And once again, everybody tuning in here on the Intersim Esports Network through our Facebook and YouTube platforms for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Dave Trevathan's just chimed in and he goes, my bad luck has to turn one day. So we see Dave Trevathan down currently 3 laps. We're not quite sure what happened there, but unfortunate for you, Dave. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you hang around for the remainder of this one. Also, Michael Bird has just come back, Raymond, and told us his car got hit from behind before the start and could not get better than a 32.9 in time. So it looks like he had a bit of rear damage. So unfortunate
tough
start
night
there
from the start for Mick. Yeah, not good when you get something from before the race and your night's basically done before it starts. But yeah, on Dave, yeah, he's right. He's a really good driver and he has had some terrible luck lately. I think I've been saying that about a few drivers, but it is a bit like that at times. So you go through these patches and you just got to keep coming back, and eventually it turns around and you start getting some good results again.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And what I find personally is there's no like middle ground. You either have a really, really gold patch where you just win or podium everything you race, and then you have a really, really bad one where you just go a couple of races and whatever you do, you can't get it right. Well, at least that's my racing experience anyway. There's no in between. So unfortunate for those guys, but I'm sure they'll be back for round 11 and hopefully we see them at the front. But what I'm excited to call here, Raymond, I'm watching that gap between Justin Witcher and Darren McKenzie. It is still staying around that 4-second mark, but once these cars of Adam Malone and Andy Barber pit, and even Sam Katakouzanos for that, saying that rather, it's going to leave Justin Witcher there out on his own, and the likes of Darren McKenzie, Barry Neal, Gary Wellman, and everyone down below them are in a big chain. So they're possibly going to catch up onto the back of Justin Witcher very quickly. And just in that last lap alone, Barry Neal, who's now gone in front of Darren McKenzie to take 6th in this motor race, has dropped that gap to the front down in half a second rather in one lap.
Yeah, I think maybe Adam Malone ran out of fuel there because he just stopped right in front of, who was it, Sammy Kay, and luckily missed him. But yeah, it was just stopped. So I wonder if he ran out of petrol.
Possibly. That just goes to show how far they were running into the tanks. So trying to get every last drop out of that car there for Adam Malone. So that's not night over for him. But if he was running out of fuel, it would have made him very slow down the pit lane. We're currently, we'll go and see where he is at the moment. He's still showing on my timing there, so we won't talk about that. But Darren McKenzie, as we're on board at the moment, sitting in the 5th position. In the timing, obviously, that's going to change with the pits that are going to happen ahead of him. But Justin Witcher now, that gap's coming back. It's now down to 2.6 from Barry Neal and Darren McKenzie. So these two guys are definitely catching Justin Witcher at the front.
Those front three are now in the pit lane. So this will put Justin into the lead of the race.
Yeah. Definitely. Justin Witcher out there on his own currently. Next time across, 20 laps to go, but this gap is dropping down between 1 and 2, down to 2.4 seconds. Barry Neal will be effectively 3rd place in this race next time across the strike. Darren, as he just makes the move on the outside of Darren McKenzie. Gary Wellman's had a lot of solid results lately. He's in a lot of different leagues, so no surprise to see Gary up there currently in the 7th position, but he'll effectively be 4th, and Aaron Dillon doing a solid job tonight as well. Effectively P5, and Troy Davidson effectively P6. So there we go again, those Sim Boys racing cars at the front of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Sometimes they have a little bit of bad luck and get caught up in some accidents, but we see the 4 of them on the high line there behind Barry Neal, definitely in contention for this one with 20 to go.
So that gap to Justin is now down to under a second, so looks like they'll be right on him in no time, and we'll have about a 12-car pack or something, 10-car pack for the lead, I think.
It's a little bit confusing at the moment with cars and different strategies, but what I'm seeing on live timing, Raymond, is we'll have an 8-car battle for the lead, Sean Hart being the last car in that battle, and then we have a further 4 seconds behind to 9th position of Adam Malone. So there are a couple of cars here out of sequence with the race leaders, but it is a battle pack of eight for the win of this race at the moment.
Yeah, so a lot of different guys can get the win here, and as you said before, I think you said there's 4 Sim Boys in this one that are still looking for that win, and no real surprise, because like we say just about every week, is they're always up the front. They're very good in these cars around these ovals, and yeah, no surprise to see them figuring out the front again.
Yeah, 100%. And Barry Neal just made his presence felt and said, Darren McKenzie, I am going up the inside of you, and took the lead. And Darren just goes, I'm going to return serve.
Oh, Wellman.
Who was that?
Gary Wellman.
Big send down the inside. He was good to pull out of that one. I thought there was going to be big contact into the back of Darren McKenzie there.
It did look like he was going to drive straight into him, but he pulled out of it. So well done, Gary.
That got the heart. Oh, as we see, nearly big incident in the background. Oh, it's getting racy at the front here, Raymond. 18 laps to go. It's go time here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries with 3 wide for the lead of this motor race. Gary Wellman down the inside. We see Darren McKenzie on the inside. Oh, I thought we were going to squeeze 4 wide with the Sim Boys car. There are Christopher Finlay, I believe that was, trying to make that 4 wide, but he aired on the side of caution there and just sits in behind Barry Neal. That's actually Gary Wellman, is it? in the pink car, I believe.
No, that should be Aaron Dillon, I think.
Aaron Dillon, sorry, it's really hard with the different colours. So my apologies, but we were 3 wide for the lead of the motor race, mate. That's what we come to know of the Australasian Supercar eSeries and why I have a sore throat every Monday morning. So
certainly is what we expect from these guys for the race lead. I think that's how, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how we finish tonight, 3 or 4 wide across the line.
Hopefully we do, mate, and it'll get me standing up in my chair. And here we go, 3 wide again. No sooner did we say it, we're 3 wide, and Gary Wellman down the inside. So status quo here, same as what we saw on lap 83 is what we see on lap 84. But it looks like Gary Wellman tries to clear Darren McKenzie, but that mid to outside line just has enough pace to be able to hold that off. Gary Wellman getting left out to dry there on the inside line with the draft. Barry Neal with a big push down the back straight there, making his way around Darren McKenzie, but Darren's going to hold it down on the inside line. And as we come out of 3 and 4, he's not quite able to clear him, so we're just going to remain 2 wide. Keep an eye out there, though. Sean Hart is in the background, just having a stalking brief over these front guys, picking his moment to move back to the front. Justin Witcher, you can see back there in 8th. He's just moved back there. I have a feeling he's just settling everything down, letting the car cool down, and then he's going to have a big run to the front of this motor race with 10 to go. So keep an eye on Justin Witcher, your current leader of the championship after 9 rounds of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. You can see him in the background there in the Pinnacle Big Sports car, so keep an eye out for him.
You sound more confident about that than I am. I think he's maybe burned up his tyres here and he can't stay with them. I think he's dropping off the back of this pack.
I'm just trying to bring the content here, Raymond. No, joking. Hopefully he hasn't, mate. Hopefully he could feel that coming and he's just dropped off the back a little bit. What's going to help him with these guys as we go into the last 10 laps is they're going to start getting a lot more racy and battle a lot more. So if he is struggling with that, he possibly could catch up onto the back of this group. In saying that, you can see him just sitting in the draft there, trying to pull up onto the back of them. So hopefully he's just cooled off that front right-hand tyre and can make his way back forward as we go into the last 10 laps. But it's definitely on at the front here. Darren McKenzie and Barry Neal have been side by side for about 5 laps, and every now and again Gary Wellman wants to chime in, as he does now, and goes 3 wide.
They've been at each other for longer than that. So even when they were chasing down Justin, they were just trading places, Darren and Barry. They're not they're not dying wondering, either of them. Oh, and Darren's run into the back of Gary.
Oh, it looked like Darren didn't want to be the meat in the sandwich there and just goes, no, I don't like this. I'm going to get hung out to dry, and tried to get that inside line, but he got such a quick run. Oh, as we see him get covered off by Aaron Dillon. Aaron saw him coming and said, no, thank you, Darren, you're not going there. That's really helped Barry, but they're going to catch up on the back of him very shortly. So nearly a big one there. Aaron Dillon is definitely playing for keeps in this one. Gary Wellman up there as well, Troy Davidson. It's definitely an 8-way battle for the fight of this one. Sam Katakuzanos drops off the back.
Oh, Darren.
8 seconds.
Darren's not dying wondering here. He's giving it everything.
And we haven't seen Darren. Oh, Darren McKenzie chops off the nose there of the Simboys car on the inside of Gary Wellman. So they're definitely playing for keeps. Gary Wellman wants to make it 3 wide again. He's not happy to sit behind Darren McKenzie. Hopefully these guys get through cleanly and we don't see a caution in this one, but they're doing very well so far. Darren McKenzie making that mid-lane work. Barry Neal just sitting up there on the outside line, getting a feel for this one, but it's definitely getting heated up at the front here.
Yeah, Barry will be loving what he's seeing in his mirror at the moment. These boys fighting 2-3 wide, not worrying about him. He'll be loving it.
Yeah, every time he sees Gary Wellman drop down to that inside line below Darren, he'd be rubbing his hands together going, go on, boys, you go take it 3 wide. I'll just sit on the outside line here and do my thing. So Barry Neal leading the way, Aaron Dillon in second, but he's going to make a move for the lead of this race sooner rather than later. Aaron is not going to sit behind Barry, and in saying that, Darren's not happy sitting there in third either. So Darren makes his way up. This is going to be an 11-lap scrap for the win for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. There are no team orders. There are no orders by anyone in this one. It's anyone's race of the top 8 at the moment.
Yeah, there's not a driver in this pack that wants to finish second. They all want to win this race, and they'll all be trying to. Good to see that Justin is hanging on the back of that pack, so maybe he does have something left.
Yeah, I think he may have done, as I mentioned, and just dropped back there, try to cool the car off a little bit to be able to push his way back up and have a little bit of a surge into the back end of this race. He's sitting there on the mid-line trying to move up into the back of this group. So we'll just keep one eye on him as we keep a watching brief on the front of this motor race. Barry Neal still leading the way with 10 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Indosim Esports Network. If you are tuning in on Facebook or YouTube, be sure...
Darren in the middle of a Simboy sandwich there.
Yeah, he was, but be sure to put your comments on. Let us know who you think is going to win this one as we have 9 laps to go. Darren McKenzie in behind Gary Wellman. Barry Neal doing a great job on the outside. We're 4 wide down the back straight with 9 to go. Justin Witch has made this one 4 wide. Are we going to get through there? Darren McKenzie's moved up into that mid lane. That's sort of left Justin Witcher a little bit high and dry there, but he's coming up the inside of Darren. So Darren's moved backwards very quickly in this one. So Darren might be suffering with a little bit what we thought Justin was earlier, and he's moved from the front down to the mid to back of this front group, and that could be a result of Darren running that low line for such a long time trying to make that move on Barry Neal, but we'll see what happens. So Barry Neal currently leading the race and Aaron Dillon in second. There's nearly big carnage. Oh, as we've got a lap car getting involved as well. They all get around. Thank God for that. I thought that was going to be a big one, but now we have a move for the race and lead of the race, and Aaron Dillon takes the lead ahead of Barry Neal. So he's been sitting there for a couple of laps and now he says it's go time. Aaron Dillon takes the lead of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Barry Neal will be looking to return that favour right now as he goes on the inside of Aaron Dillon, and he is going to look to take the lead of this race. We're 93 into 100. We have 8 laps to go. Aaron Dillon has the lights flashing. I'm not sure who he's flashing at because no one can see it, but he's getting a bit excited there in the Simboy's car. So he had his lights flashing down the main straight, but Barry Neal takes the lead of the race, Raymond. I'll settle down a little bit. We've still got 7 odd laps to go, 93 into 100. There's the flashing of the lights again.
Oh, he's flashing the 10 of Terry Marwood, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. We saw the lapped car, so that explains why Aaron is flashing the lights. So
Terry did the right thing and got out the road and let these boys continue their battle as the lead changes once again.
It is, and look who's coming back. Darren McKenzie on the inside line there, so he's making his way back. Barry Neal for the first time dropping down to the inside. Not that he had much of a choice because Troy Davidson there on the outside ganging up with Aaron Dillon, his Simboy's teammate. We'll see whether Barry Neal can make that inside line work. He hasn't been there all night. He's just gone and on a little bit of an exploration mission, and it seems like it worked out well for him, but that draft of that outside line is working. We'll see how far he can dive it into 3 and 4. Looks like he makes a little bit on the inside of Aaron Dillon there. He's not going to be able to clear him as he pushes up through the mid-track. Gets a little bit tight there. Aaron Dillon will get a big push here by Troy Davidson on the outside. Barry Neal tries to get up. That's left Troy Davidson high and dry, but Aaron Dillon just moves up a little bit and says, no, Barry, I'm going to help Troy. So Barry is there, but Gary Wellman is also there in behind Barry Neal, trying to work their way up to the front. So as we said earlier in the broadcast, these Sim boys definitely have no team orders and it's every man for himself. So Justin Witcher, you can see in the background there, we're 95 into 100. Next time across the strike, we'll go lap 96, 5 to go here on the Australasian Supercar eSeries.
Yeah, Barry's doing a really nice job considering, like you said, there is 5, I think, Simboy's cars there at the moment, but he's doing well to stay in front. But again, like you said as well, they don't really have team orders and they all are trying to win this race. So it's going to be a hell of a finish.
It will be, and we see Aaron Dillon take the lead again, getting pushed to the front there by Gary Wellman. Barry Neal up in his favoured position of the racetrack on that mid to high line. He's going to be loving being back there, but that's not going to win him the motor race currently because he's sitting in behind Aaron Dillon on the high line. Gary Wellman getting left on that dreaded inside line when you have no one to help you. You carry a lot more speed on the entry to the corner, as you can see here, but through mid to exit, you can definitely slow up a little bit. There's the man of the moment, Darren McKenzie, making his way back to the lead of this race as well. So he dropped back a little bit earlier, but now it's go time. 4 laps to go here in the Australasian Supercar eSeries. And how good is this? Look at this battle for the front of the race. Darren McKenzie makes it pretty wide and goes down the inside of Gary Wellman and wants to get up the front of this race. So we're 3 wide.
These 2 are the 2 that have been able to make that bottom work tonight. Darren and Gary, they've been down there quite often and generally been able to make it go okay. Not this time, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them go again.
No, that looks like one of their only options, because that outside line is quite strong. They're going to want to sit their cars and keep persisting on that inside line. They need a little bit of a help down the straights and get that side draft a little bit more to be able to keep up with this outside line. Barry Neal now drops down in front, making that inside line go as well. So here we go. We are 2 abreast, 4 deep here. 98 laps into 100, 3 to go. Here we go. Get strapped in, ladies and gentlemen. Barry Neal taking the lead of this motor race. Watch out for Aaron Dillon on the outside line. Anything can happen here. We're about to go 3 wide down the back straight here of the Australasian Supercar eSeries for lap 98 of 100. Gary Wellman taking the inside line of Barry Neal. Barry Neal on the middle line. There's no contact there. Aaron Dillon thought he was going to get very tight up into the back of Aaron Dillon there, but he's sitting there in behind Aaron Dillon, getting the push. Aaron Dillon on the outside line. This time past, we have 2 laps to go. Lap 99. Aaron Dillon leading the race ahead of Barry Neal. So, Raymond, outside line's where I want to be. Aaron Dillon is definitely in the spot to win this one.
100%. The outside's definitely where you want to be, but I expect Barry's going to line him up coming out of 3 and just dive to the inside, maybe going into 3, I should say, and just dive it in and try and get the slide job done and get up in front of him before the end of 4.
Yeah, and I don't think with the amount of cars around, I'm not sure Aaron Dillon's going to be able to do the over and under.
Between Troy and Gary.
Oh, that was contact between Troy and Gary. That's helped. Who's that helped? That's helped Darren McKenzie, but we're on the final lap here of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Aaron Dillon on the outside, Barry Neal on the inside. Darren McKenzie's come to play as well. The Sim Boys cars, we nearly had contact.
Oh, Gary had to wash up.
Gary Wellman and Darren McKenzie. Barry Neal making this inside line work. Who's it going to be? Aaron Dillon, Darren McKenzie, or can it be Troy Davidson sitting there on the outside of Aaron Dillon? Justin Witch has come to play as well, so it's any one of 5. Barry Neal just underneath that white line trying to get the rotation of that car. Here we go, but it looks like it is going to be Aaron Dillon.
Oh,
and there's a big incident behind, but that'll be the end of the motor race, and it'll be Aaron Dillon that wins round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Justin Witcher out of nowhere pulls home in P2. Darren McKenzie, another podium. What a weekend for Darren. Comes home with a P3, Sean Hart P4, and Gary Wellman will round out the top 5. Raymond, what a finish to that one.
Oh, yeah, what a finish, and disaster for Barry Neal and Troy Davidson. Bit of contact, not sure exactly what happened, but a disaster for them. But Aaron Dillon's done a great job to win that race. Justin came from nowhere to finish second, and like you said, Darren McKenzie caps off an amazing weekend with another podium.
Yeah, most definitely. Aaron Dillon's going to be stoked with that one. He showed a really calm head there on the outside line. He knew that they were going to struggle to get him on the inside, and if he just sat there on the outside, it was probably going to be the better place to be, and that's exactly how it worked out with Troy Davidson at one point pushing it in front of Barry Neal.
It was a really smart drive from Aaron Dillon. He really did well, held his head, kept his head, and he'll be stoked to get back to pit lane because he was the champion last year and won a few races, but he's had some bad luck this season, so it's really good to see him back in victory lane.
Yeah, it is, and it's no surprise Sim Boys Racing Car, second week in the row that these guys have won the round of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. So they've stopped that run of Justin Witcher, but Justin still, where'd Justin end up tonight? So Justin Witcher trying to have a look there. Yeah, he did. He ended up second. So nice.
Came from nowhere.
Nice solid points there for Justin. So he's going to be happy with that second position. So oh, what a race. But before we jump on and speak to the podium getters, we'll just have a look at the full results here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. We'll just get them brought up in front of us at the moment. So your winner for round 10 at Autoclub Speedway was none other than Aaron Dillon, taking out P2. The leader of the championship was Justin Witcher. Darren McKenzie, after a solid weekend of racing with his third podium in a row, will finish in the third position. Sean Hart, nice solid drive there, up into P4. Gary Wellman will round out your top 5. Christopher Finlay will be in 6th, with Barry Neal, with that unfortunate incident with Troy Davidson, will finish in a nice respectable 7th position. Troy Davidson, as I just mentioned, in 8th. Sam Katakuzanos will finish in 9th, with Jamie Nankervis rounding out your top 10. Dwayne Priest will finish in the 11th position, followed by the Coca-Cola assassin himself, Andy Barber. 13th position was Michael Shaw, followed by Pete Matson in 14th. Cade Donnelly ended up in the 15th position. Greg Spencer, with an unfortunate run tonight, ended up in 16th. Adam Malone, 17th, and Shannon Wright, 18th. If you want to, Raymond, you can bring us through from 19th on.
Yeah, so from there we go to multiple laps down, but Phil Howe finishes in 19th. Terry Marwood, another unfortunate night, finishes 20th after being up towards the front. Brett Campbell, 21st. Ian Quast, 22nd. Todd Maxfield, 23rd, after running right at the front for the first 42 laps. Nigel Payton obviously had that incident, finished 24th. Dave Trevathan, we talked about, 25th. His luck will turn soon, I'm sure. Michael Berta pulled out after getting damaged pre-race, unfortunately, finished 26th. John Quest, 27th, and Sean King, 28th position.
And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There is your 29 starters and how they finished here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. We're joined in the booth by the podium getters, and we'll move straight across and chat to them. Darren McKenzie, what a weekend for you, mate. 3 podiums in a row. That one was definitely hard fought.
Oh, yeah, I think the last, 20 laps were just head-to-head. There's a bit of contact between myself and Barry. It's sort of... I did squeeze him up a little bit up on the wall there, but yeah, Rubbin's race, and there was no harm done there, and yeah, it was really tight at the end there. Everyone was blocking, crisscrossing. You just had to find a gap where you could find it.
Well, you did a good little recovery drive there, mate. We saw you off the back of the pack by a good 4, 5, 6 seconds early on in the race. Give us a bit of an insight. We didn't quite catch many incidents early on. What put you back so far early on in the race? Because that's not usually where you like to sit.
Yeah, as I found out, I thought I'd go for the tyre save strategy and sort of see if I could leave just a one stint run to the end with 38 laps. And I put myself at the back deliberately, just chilled out, and almost got turned by a car underneath me early. And I just decided to put my foot down from there. Started making some ground. The yellow come out, helped me a lot, brought me back up to the pack. And I think I went from 13th up to first. Through the first few corners, it was a good run on the restart.
Funny you say that, Darren. This is a good segue to bring Raymond up into the chat with you. Raymond did mention that early on in the broadcast, that there was a possibility that some guys that, like yourself, there were some big names that were fallen down in the standings and not usually down there. He said that you might be trying to get that one stopper, but wasn't quite sure if it was possible. So, Raymond, that's a good segue for you to come in and have a chat to Darren. He was trying that early on in the first stint.
Yeah, I did obviously mention that early on, and well done, Darren, on a great drive and really an amazing weekend of results. 3 podiums in a row, and obviously winning this morning must have been an amazing feeling. But tonight, as you said, sort of different strategy early on, and then just sort of put the foot to the floor after nearly getting turned. I guess, yeah, great job. Any thoughts on the racing? It seemed pretty crazy all night, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why I was happy to sit at the back at the start. I was expecting a couple of early cautions, but for the pace and how the racing was, it was run, really clean. There was a bit of contact, and everyone was able to catch the slides, and we only have the one yellow, so I think that was, by everyone.
I was going to say as well, towards the end there, when Justin had a bit of a gap to yourself and Barry, you boys seemed to be I know you're behind him, but you were switching spots regularly, yourself and Barry, not really, you usually see lining up trying to catch the guy in front, but that didn't seem to be the case at all. You boys wanted to be in front of each other.
I think, there's a bit of rivalry between myself and Barry. I don't know, sort of, we get a bit of contact every now and then. It's good racing. I like racing hard. It's the way I race. It's, like tonight, starting from the back and trying to conserve tyres. It's not me. So as soon as I got that touch, it was sort of, all right, the fire's lit, let's go.
Yeah, and I mean, it's obviously worked out well, and you've got another podium, so I'm sure you'll be absolutely stoked about that.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a great weekend. So yeah, I also did the Bathurst 1000 in the official yesterday, and we were on for a top four in the third split up until the second last lap, and yeah, we sort of car turned itself out of turn one, and that was race done for us. So it was looking like a really good weekend, but we've still got an eighth in that. So yeah, it's been really good.
Well, that's nothing to sneeze at, mate. Eighth position in the Bathurst 1000 in split 3, mate. So that's definitely nothing to sneeze at, mate. But we head to Pocono next week for round 11. How are you feeling heading to Pocono next week?
Yeah, these cars handle really well at Pocono. I think the three different styles of turn suits the road based car really well. So hopefully another good result there, and another good race as well for everyone to be a part of.
Well, mate, we'll let you go through your sponsors and your shout-outs so you can go and wind down after a big day and big weekend of racing, mate. Quick shout-out to everyone involved.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, the guys at TGD Esports, the new amalgamated team between Team Hyperdrive and Zero Lift Racing. Sponsors The Cave, ST Automotive, Inside Lane Productions, Rattler Motorsport, and Wolf and Raven. Also, I'd like to thank the guys for putting on their series and Intersim Esports Network for broadcasting.
No worries, mate. Well said. Congratulations once again on your P3, mate. We'll let you go, but we'll move across to the second place getter for tonight. Justin, your seat is still here for you, mate. P2 tonight. It wasn't looking like a P2 on that last lap, but you got that one with that incident between Troy Davidson and Barry Neal, mate. Some nice solid points there to extend your championship lead.
Yeah, got a bit lucky on that last lap, but yeah, here we are.
Well, Raymond was up in the booth with me, as you know, and he did mention there you were back in around about the 8th or 9th position with about 15 to go after starting at, I think you started up near the front of that restart or something. Well, sorry, you're out the front there after the last green flag pit stop when Barry and Darren were trying to chase you down. Did you intentionally drop back there to try and save your gear a little bit to have a late run, or were you struggling sort of with that front right-hand tyre and how those guys at the front were battling allowed you to move back up?
No, it was actually, I could hear the chatter hear the chatter that Barry and Darren were into each other. So I was actually trying to get in front of Andy on the lead lap. Just sit in front of first so that if there was a caution, I didn't have a end of line lucky dog. So I used up a bit of fuel, and then when they all pitted, I was probably a lap and a half short. So we just had to really lift and coast for 10 or so laps, and then caught back up and sat in the draft, caught me fuel back up, and yeah, obviously I was sort of trying to time a run. It was pretty hard with all the sim boys jammed up all together. But yeah, like I said, sort of fourth or fifth I was sort of aiming for in that last corner until what happened.
Raymond, I'll hand it over to you. Have a chat to Justin, your teammate, mate. I'm sure, and you're chomping at the bit to have a chat to Justin.
Oh, yeah. You haven't had a chat to him for a while, so yeah, it's good. Yeah, so it seemed like a pretty tactical race on your end. So it looked like early, like Aiden said, you were sitting back trying to sort of conserve, I gather, tyres, and then, like you said at the end there, had to save some fuel. Was that was the intention going in? You were planning on making sure that you looked after your stuff so you could time your run at the end? Obviously, you know, you're always up the front, like Aiden said, he's got a chair in here with your name on it because you're here every week. So you know what you're doing, and was that the plan?
To be totally honest, no. The plan changed about 40 times. There was a point there where I wasn't even sure whether what I'd done was going to work out at all. It was looking good after that last green flag pit stop. When I noticed it, I was 4 or 5 seconds ahead of Barry and Darren. But yeah, like I said, I just used too much fuel. So I suppose tonight was actually just going on the fly. At the start, we were trying to save tyres. Which worked out because before that yellow the caution we were catching up and a few guys were dropping off. So yeah, I suppose it was just, I don't know whether the other boys were the same, but I was literally going off the fly all night.
Well, look, it's worked out well for you, obviously, to finish second. So even though it may not have been the plan, it's worked out. And like Aidan said, you have extended the championship lead, which I am sure you are very pleased about.
Yeah, that's the main goal, obviously. Coming towards the end of the season, it's just to race the guys that are up the top of the ladder, rather than, probably bolting for race wins and getting into accidents.
Well, mate, you said you were flying by the seat of your pants tonight, and it definitely worked out, as Raymond said, bringing home bringing home second place, rather, for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. So, as always, mate, a shout out to those sponsors.
The boys at Pinnacle Esports, Raymond, Matt, Nigel and Greg, Ray White, Royal Gander, Witcher Electrics, and you boys for putting on at Intersim.
No worries at all, mate. There we go. Justin Witcher, P2 here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries from Autoclub Speedway. And without further ado, we will move across to your winner, Aaron Dillon. Aaron, mate, it's been a long time between drinks after winning the series last year. Good to see you back up in the booth and in that, a P1, mate.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. It's a little bit too late into the season for me to be getting these results to be anywhere, but no, I was happy with that race. I think that's only the third half-decent race I've had all season. So, yeah, no, stoked.
Yeah, it's been one of those seasons for you, wrong place, wrong time more often than not. Definitely hasn't been from the lack of pace, we can say that much. Your Sim Boys racing teammates and yourself have been super fast in these cars, as always, so it's no surprise to see you at the front, but finally being able to get one done would definitely feel good.
Nah, it's a big relief. I thought I'll never get one this season, but it's good that it's happened. So, yeah, no, I'm pretty happy about that. It was a good race.
Late on in that last stint, in probably like the last 5 or 6 laps of the race, you're just sitting there on the outside line. It looked like a lot of people were trying the inside line, but they couldn't quite get past and be able to make that move stick. So was that your strategy? Just sit there on that outside line and pretty much say, well, if you want to pass me, guys, you've got to be able to overlap me on the inside? Yeah,
that was the plan. I felt the high line was a lot easier on the tyres, and it was just that little bit quicker coming out. Halfway down the straight, they could get under you, but if you just got it out, yeah, perfect, you're right. But yeah, I was just going to stay on the high line, and if someone tried to dart under on the last lap, I had enough room to be able to get low, and that's pretty much what I did.
Raymond, anything you want to touch on with Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, as a champion last season, you'd be frustrated, I guess, and you've alluded to that so far, that it's taken this long to get the first win for the season. I mean, how's that sort of played on your mind, I guess? We all sort of thought that you were going to be the guy to beat this season. I know you've probably had a bit of bad luck as well, correct?
Yeah, no, I think I've had more bad luck than anything else this season. Like I'm always up. I've always got the pace, I feel, but yeah, it's just I get into those silly little positions and out of the race 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, so no, obviously you'd be absolutely stoked to be back in victory lane and hoping to finish the season in a more positive manner.
Definitely, that's what I'm aiming for. Pocono, I like that track, so that's a good fun one, and I'll go half all right on the road circuits. I can do if I can put them all together. So yeah, let's hope.
Well, you just answered my question, Aaron. I was about to ask you about Pocono, but you've just covered that off for all the viewers. Definitely looking forward to Pocono by the looks of it, mate.
Yeah, no, it's a good, tricky track. So you've got to get that triangle right, and yeah, it's good.
No worries, mate. Well, congratulations once again. Finally getting back to the top step here for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries, mate. Big shout out to everyone involved and all your sponsors, mate.
Yeah, just shout out to the Sim Boys. We'll be up the shed till Friday night for birthday beers for me, and then we'll be back there Saturday for the grand final. So it's going to be a big weekend for us. And shout out to you guys for putting it all on and into Sim Speed Network for broadcasting.
No worries, mate, and a big happy birthday for next Friday. I hope you have a good one. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There is P1, 2 and 3 for round 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here from the Autoclub Speedway. P1, your winner, Aaron Dillon. P2 was Justin Witcher. And rounding out the top three with a very solid weekend is Darren McKenzie. So we'll just jump across and see whether we can get the provisional championship standings for you guys as we have just concluded round 10 and we move into round 11 next week from Pocono. So currently, as we said, extending his lead at the top of the championship is Justin Witcher out there on 333 points. He now has a 31 gap margin over second place Troy Davidson on 302 points. Have a look at that though, Raymond. Second and third, Gary Wellman in third is tied with Troy Davidson on 302 points. Christopher Finlay there in fourth on 300 points. Cade Donnelly rounds out the top five on 271 points. Darren McKenzie with a solid drive tonight is there in sixth spot, 257 points. The top six haven't changed, Raymond. It stayed the same as we came into the night, but definitely has changed at the top points-wise. We've got Greg Spencer, who's gained that one extra spot back there in seventh spot on 238 points, and Andy Barber up 2 spots in the eighth spot, on 233 points. Ninth is yourself, Raymond. So you're still sitting there inside the top 10 after 2 DNSs on 229 points. And Shannon Wright, with another unfortunate night tonight, has dropped 1 spot in the top 10, rounding out the top 10 rather, on 227 points. You can scroll through and have a look where all your favourite drivers are. Have a look there and see where they are. But next week, Raymond, we head to Pocono Speedway. Do you think you will have your gear ready and we'll see your Pinnacle Esports 23 car come out and join the party again?
Look, the fingers are crossed, mate. I've ordered a new wheel yesterday, so I'm hoping that I might be able to get it this week and get on the grid for Pocono. Don't know, obviously, but fingers are crossed, and I'm hating not being out there. So, yeah, not as much fun as it is up in the booth. Much prefer to be out there racing.
I'm quite sure you do, mate, and we hope you're back there next week. But thank you once again for jumping up into the broadcast booth. You're always welcome, and obviously running the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Thank you so much for that. Hopefully we see you out on track next week. But before we get to the end of the broadcast, of course, we need to have a big shout out to our sponsors. Obviously, the naming rights sponsor, Ray White Rural Gander, for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Jump on and follow them through all their socials or Google them. And if you're looking for property, as I've mentioned in the broadcast, up through the Gander region, whether it be buying, selling, or for a rental, jump onto them. Obviously, Witcher Electrics as well, down there out of the Ballarat region down in Victoria, I believe. Jump on and support him if you're in the area, and also AP Esports for being a part of it as well. So next week we move to round 11 for the Australasian Supercar eSeries at Pocono Speedway, as we mentioned. But before we get there, we're going to bring to you the final round of the Full Throttle Sim Racing League's NASCAR Next Gen Series from Daytona International Speedway. And you'll see that right here on the Intersim Esports Network from 7:30 p.m. next Friday night. And then we'll follow up with round 11 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries on Sunday night from the same time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Raymond Yeager, thank you for joining me in on the booth. From myself, Paul Jackson, and of course, Raymond Yeager, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next Friday night.